Hello and welcome to the second Adobe Premiere tutorial. If you're carrying on with this in class, you will probably need to have completed the last tutorial before you get to this one, or maybe you just want to brush up on a few skills yourself. So far, based on the last tutorial we did, we've edited our shots into the timeline and we've put some music in there and we've put a gunshot in there too. And you can see that we've laid up our sound, so we've got a layer here of audio from our shots, we've got some music there that we've put in, and we've also put in our gunshot sound effect there on a different layer. Now we've layered up the audio this way, but we can also layer up our video. So what I've got in our folder here is in the digital effects folder. You'll be able to see that we've got a few different files that we can use. So the first one I'm going to look at is the scope image here. So this is actually just a PNG image of a sniper scope, and you can't actually tell here, but the sniper scope is here when I've double clicked it, and it's actually got the middle bit cut out inside here. It's transparent, but anything that's transparent appears black, so it's not obvious that this is a sniper scope, but you'll be able to see it in a minute when we put it into our timeline. So I'm going to put it straight into our timeline from here because it's an image. It's infinite in time. We don't need to cut it down because it makes no difference. It's going to still be whatever length we put it as. So we're going to put it into our timeline. I'm going to put it above our footage, not on top of it here, because like the audio, it will delete the anything that it covers on top of. So if you let go of it there, it will delete our camera shot. So what I'll do is make sure I'm going to put it above our footage that's already in there, so on a separate layer, and I'm going to let go. So as I said, it is an image, which means we can make it as long or as short as we want it to be. So there's no limit on time. So I'm going to make sure, because this sniper scope is essentially going to be used for the sniper's point of view shot, and the sniper's point of view shot is shot 1. I'm going to put it on top of this shot here, and you can see straight away that our shot is that is underneath it is visible in the middle part of the scope that has been cut out. So you can now see that the image covers our shot because it is on top of that particular shot, and that works perfectly with that sniper's point of view shot. So I've just made sure that it is the same length there as that shot, because I don't want it to blend into the next shot, because it just won't work really in terms of the shot switch. So I'm going to show you another one. So we've got a bullet impact here. I'm going to double click that. This is actually a video, this isn't an image, so I'm going to play this back just to show you what it is. It's just a gunshot firing against what looks like a black wall, but it's actually transparent. So this is also transparent, so you can't tell because Adobe just shows transparency as black. So what I'll do is I'll make sure it's easy for you guys to see by putting it straight into our timeline. I'm going to put it again, like the sniper scope, I'm going to put it above our footage, and I'm going to let go. And you'll be able to see the gunshot is appearing here on our shot. Now, so when I play that back, I've timed it in, I've put it in so it's in line with our gunshot sound effect, and the gunshot appears there. And it also carries on into the next shot, so we don't want it to do that. We're going to make sure we shrink our bullet impact so it's the same length as shot 2. I'm going to play that. Perfect. But is it perfect? Because really, it doesn't work, because the gunshot he walks in front of. So you don't want it in there because obviously the effect doesn't look right. So we need to move it to a different position. So to move any shot into a different position, we need to change its properties. So what I'm going to do is, any shot that we want to change the properties of, all you need to do is select the shot that you want to alter the properties of, and with it highlighted in white, I've only clicked once there, I'm just going to go to effect controls at the top here. So if you're on editing, if your workspace is on the editing layout, it should be there. You'll be able to see the properties of that particular shot, and you can do that for any of the shots that you can see here. So I'm going to make sure we selected the gunshot here, and we can see the properties of motion, opacity and time. So we move in the position of it, and to move the position of it, we need to change the motion properties of it. So I'm going to open up that dialog box there, and we can see a few different parameters that we can change, such as position, scale, rotation, and all we have to do is move by clicking and holding these numbers to alter some of these settings. And you can see by moving this number, it moves it up and down. by moving the number and position next to it there. We'll also move it left and right. We can also increase the scale there as well, but to be honest, the easiest way to do it is just by selecting the word motion. Select the word motion, it puts a blue box around it, and we can then move that to wherever position we want it to put in. So I'm going to put it here, maybe make it a bit bigger. And I'm putting it here because he doesn't run in front of that position there. So when I press play, he doesn't walk in front of the gunshot anymore. So have a go putting those shots in, and then we're going to move on to the next step by putting some effects in. So let's look at effects. The reason why I've put that gunshot onto shot 2 is because it's on a tripod. It's the most still shot, the rest are handheld, and if I put the gunshot on these shots, the gunshot wouldn't wobble with it. But that said, there is a slight wobble. Don't know how noticeable that is to your eyes, but to mine, that's too much. Just because it's on a tripod, I might have touched the tripod at the time, or the wind might have got it a bit, and it just slightly wobbled the tripod. What we need to do is apply an effect to stop that from happening. So to find any effects that Adobe comes with, what we're going to do is going to go to our effects tab here. So if you're still in the editing workspace, you should see your effects here. If you've got loads of windows open, you might have to select the little arrow tool that might be there to find the effects tab. But with the effects tab selected, you then need to go to the effects folder as well as, and open that up. So all our effects are categorized into, well, different categories. And they're categorized with these different folders here. So I know the effect that I want to use is under the distort folder. So I'm going to open the distort folder, and we can see a bunch of effects that we can apply to our shot. So I know the warp stabilizer is an effect that you can apply to very minor wobbles of a camera shot that will try and stabilize the footage by warping the image. So what I'm going to do to apply it to our shot, because what we're going to do is we're going to apply it to shot 2. We're not going to apply it to the gunshot, because the gunshot doesn't need steadying, it's the actual shot itself. So I'm going to drag and drop the warp stabilizer onto shot 2, and I'm going to let go. This particular this particular effect does require it to be analysed. All the other effects don't need to do that, because what it is analysing each individual frame. And because I've put the effect onto this particular shot, you can now see that our properties now have motion, opacity, time, and we've also got the warp stabilizer applied to it. So any effect that you apply to a shot will then be applied to those properties of that clip. So you'll just need to go to effect controls to change those properties. So I'm going to show you some others in a second. But the warp stabilizer is on there now. I'm going to change the stabilization so there's no motion. That'll stabilize it, and now that shot should play without any movement. Perfect. So there's absolutely hundreds of effects in here. No, you will not need to use all of these effects. Some of them were there to serve a specific purpose. So it's all about making sure you're using the effect to the desired purpose you want. But one of the most common effects I would expect you to use is color correction effects. So I'm going to go to the color correction folder here. I'm going to open that up. And the most useful color correction tool is the lumetri color effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at let's have a look at shot 5 here. I'm going to apply lumetri color straight to shot 5. I'm going to let go. Now putting an effect on doesn't immediately have any effect on that shot in most cases, because you need to change some of the parameters of that particular effect. So I've applied that effect, and you can see here lumetri color is now listed with our properties of our clip: motion, opacity, time, lumetri color. Obviously if I go to shot 4, there's no effect on there, so you won't be able to see that, but shot 5 does have lumetri color there because we've applied that effect to that shot. So we can open up lumetri color and see some of the things that we can change. So if I open up basic correction within that effect, we can change some of the color correction properties here. So we can change the temperature by dragging that number right there, so it gives it more of a warmer look, or we can go the opposite way, give it more of a colder look. You can change the saturation, so bringing it one way will increase the colour, bringing it the other way will completely desaturate it. So you might want to slightly desaturate a bit or something like that. Maybe you want to just not take the colour out completely. You can change black and white levels in the shot by just moving the number like so. Maybe overexpose it a bit. You can open some of the other properties up. So I'm going to show you creative, for example, and maybe give it a certain tint. So maybe give it a sort of a greeny look, might make it look a bit like something from the Matrix, for example. Or you might want to just completely desaturate it. Let's remove the green tint, and maybe you want to give it some sort of depth to those black and white levels. So let's try and experiment with some of these color correction properties and give it a much more noir-esque sort of look to our shot. So if you've changed some of these properties, a lot of it is about experimentation. But once you've applied those effects, you'll probably realise I need to do it to all the other ones. I need to do the same settings as the last shot. So my advice to you would be, rather than having to put an effect on each individual shot and you want to apply the same effect settings to every other shot, what I would advise you to do is simply just select Lumetri Color, press Ctrl C to copy, and then you can perhaps select another shot, press Ctrl V to paste, and it will apply those same effect properties and the effect itself to that particular clip. So you could, in theory, select multiple shots and then press Ctrl V to apply, and then it will apply that effect to all of them. Make sure we do that one as well there at the end. But as I said, it's all about experimenting. See what works best for you. It might take some time to figure out the best setting for what you want to achieve. But as I said, there are all sorts of different effects. You might want to play around with some of them, but make sure you know what you're using before you apply it, because sometimes you may end up doing things that you don't want it to do, and you might get lost within the amount of effects that you've got in there. Of course, if you want any advice on what effects you might want to use, or a particular result that you want to achieve, please let me know, and I'll see what effects we can use to get that result. But that's where we're going to leave today's tutorial. Have a go putting those effects in. Make sure you've got the gunshot in there, as well as in the next tutorial we'll be looking at titles, transitions, and then finally exporting our footage as well as. So I'll see you in the next tutorial.